So, corporate governance. Okay. Corporate governance is the act of externally directing, controlling, and evaluating a corporation. Now, what is the difference between corporate management and corporate governance? Management implements the order, while governance gives the order. Management is a closed-ended system. It is a static concept. It is in this power is delegated, and in corporate governance the power is empowered, and it is an open-ended system. The corporate governance is a job designer. Corporate governance management is the job performer. Managers decides how to go, while governors decide where to go. And management is about doing the things in the right way, while governance is doing the right things. So there are two types of stakeholders in a corporate governance: internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. Internals are the owners and the employees of the corporate. External are the customers, suppliers, investors, etc. Now, there are primary and secondary stakeholders as well. Primary stakeholders are the group which are essential for continuation of the company, as like customer, supplier, employees, investor, etc. Secondary stakeholder are those who are not that like organization does not rely upon them for its continued survival, at least in the short term. For example, competitors, inspectors, and regulators and government. So, okay. Yeah, primary stakeholder essential for continuation of company as going concern. Secondary stakeholder organization does not solely rely on for its continued survival, at least in the short term. Next are principal agent problem. Now the owners are called the principals while the management is called the agent. And uh, that's all. Areas where corporate governance contribute are sustained economic growth. Corporate ensures economic growth with social justice and development, reduces financial turmoil, successful international business, social development and social welfare, environmental protection and sustainable development, interest of all stakeholders, mitigation of principal agent problem, improves gender equality and diversity, improves information flow. Now, okay. Now there are three kinds of models in corporate governance. First is Anglo-US model. In the Anglo-US model, it is also known as the unitary system or the single-tier model. Now, three major players are there: management, directors, and shareholders. It was developed in the context of free market economy. It assumes the separation of ownership and control in most publicly held corporation. The cost of the separation of the ownership and control is defined as agency cost. Now they prescribe the election of a board of directors by shareholders and requires that board acts as a fiduciaries for stakeholders' interests by overseeing management on behalf of shareholders. Prescribe election of board of directors by shareholders and require that board acts as fiduciaries for shareholders' interest by overseeing management on behalf of shareholders. Okay, now Japanese model. This is most of the times it is the bank and an industrial group. This industrial group is known as Kiretsu, which invests in the company. Now, the key players are government, the management, and the bank, and the Kiretsu. There are four players. The board of directors of Japanese corporation is composed of completely of insiders. Next is continental European model. They have two-tiered board of directors, and as a means of improvement, okay, the executive board is made up of company executives generally runs day-to-day active operations, while supervisory board, made up of entirely non-executives, uh, directors who represent shareholders, employees, hires and fires the members of executive board, determine their compensation, reviews major business decisions, etc. So these are the three types of model. Now, difference between executive and non-executive director is insider person is known as executive director and an outsider is known as non-executive director or independent director. Principles of corporate governance are rights and equitable treatment of all shareholders, interests of other stakeholders, role and responsibilities of the board, integrity and ethical behavior, environment friendly policies, trade off between profit and social welfare, free from political interference, independent external auditors, clear dividend policy, accountability and responsibility. These are the principles of corporate governance. Next is there are a few theories of corporate governance. First is agency theory. According to this theory, the principal of the company hired the agents to perform the work, and there is an obvious principal agent problem. Stewardship theory. Under this theory, the company executives protect the interests of owners or shareholders and make decisions on their behalf. Their sole objective is to create and maintain successful organization so that shareholders prosper. So, principles of a company hire agents to perform work in agency theory and stewardship theory. Successful organization shareholders perform. It is all about shareholders. Next is stakeholders theory. It focuses on the effect of corporate activity on all stakeholders of the corporation as opposed to focusing on corporate effect on the shareholders. Okay, so it focuses more on the stakeholders rather than the shareholders. Next is transaction cost theory. The transaction theory suggests that by varying the size of the firm, its production structure, technique, resources, allocation method, firm can change the transaction cost. This theory implies that managers are opportunists and arrange transaction in their favor through many methods and manipulations. Dependency theory. It focuses on the role of the board of directors in providing access to resources needed by the firm. Okay. Next is political theory. It explains the involvement of government in governance of corporations. The government in many countries and many situations participate or direct the corporate decision making, and in such situation, the allocation of corporate power, profit, and privileges all are determined by the government rules, regulations, and favors. Ethical theory of corporate governance. Theory tells us that type of governance which is ethically justified and is based upon fairness and justice for all parties. Now, okay, these are the seven kinds of theories of corporate governance. Now, corporate governance outside India. So, okay, so yeah, Cadbury Committee. It was set up in May 1991 by Financial Reporting Council, the London Stock Exchange. Its chairman is Sir Adrian Cadbury. Its recommendation was separating the role of CEO and chairman, having a minimum three non-executive directors on the board, meaning those who are independent and external, formulation of audit committee with independent members, and board of directors should play an important role for an effective corporate governance. So for Cadbury committee recommended four things: role of CEO and chairman should be separate, and minimum three external directors should be there in the board, and board of directors should play an important role for effective corporate governance, and audit committee should be formed with independent members. Now, OECD principles. These were the principles which looked after the right of shareholders is important. Equitable treatment of all shareholders, whether they are in majority or minority. Important role of stakeholders in corporate governance. Disclosure and transparency of financial reports and other areas. Responsibility of board ensuring and protecting rights of stakeholders. Non-biased auditing of the company. Next is Sarbanes-Oxley Act 2002. It established a series of requirements that affect corporate governance in US. Provisions of the Act are establishment of public company accounting oversight board. It provides new improved audit committee. It provides for mandatory rotation of lead audit and coordinating partner, unlawful for any executive director or a director of the firm to take any action to fraudulently influence, coerce, or manipulate an audit, prohibition of non-audit services, and CEOs and CFOs are required to affirm the financials. Other guidelines are International Corporate Governance Network (ICGN). They set up by individuals centered around the 10 largest pension funds in the world. The aim is to promote global corporate governance standards. World Business Council for Sustainable Development (WBCSD). Its origin dates back to Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit of 1992. Its 10 main messages are: business is good for sustainable development, and sustainable development is good for business. Business cannot succeed in societies that fail. Poverty is key enemy to stable societies. Access to markets for all supports and sustainable development. Business has to earn its license to operate, innovate, and grow. Innovation and technology development are crucial to sustainable development. Eco efficiency, doing more with less. Ecosystem is balance. Cooperation beats confrontation. Okay, I think this was that important. Evolution of corporate governance in India. First, the CII Code for Corporate Governance. It released guidelines of desirable corporate governance in 1998. Then the Kumar Mangalam Committee and Clause 49. In early 1999, SEBI set up a committee under Kumar Mangalam Birla. Its recommendations were, okay, firstly, it was given by SEBI in 1999. I mean, this committee was formed by SEBI, Kumar Mangalam, in 1999. Its recommendations were: board of directors of a company should direct and control the management of a company and is accountable to all the shareholders. Uh, non-executive chairman, in case non-executive chairman, at least one third of board should comprise of independent directors, and in case of executive chairman, at least half of the board should comprise of independent directors. Audit committee should have minimum 3 members, all being non-executive directors, with majority being independent, and with at least one director having financial accounting knowledge. The remuneration committee should comprise of at least 3 directors, all of them should be non-executive, with majority being independent. Board meetings shall be held for at least 4 times a year, with maximum time gap of 4 months between any two meetings. Company further agrees that director shall not be a member of more than 10 committees or act as a chairman of more than 5 committees. Information like quarterly result presentation made by companies to analysts shall be put in company's website or shall be sent in such a form so as to enable the stock exchange on which the company is listed to put it on its website. Next, the Naresh Chandra Committee. This was appointed on August 2002 by Department of Company Affairs (DCA). Its recommendations were: audit firm should not have any financial interest in the company. Auditors should not have received loans or guarantees from the company. Audit firm should not be dependent for more than 25% of overall revenues of the company. Any person from an audit firm involved in the audit company or any key officer of the company being audited cannot join each other before 2 years have passed since the audit has taken place. Audit firm should not be involved in any non-audit services. The partner should, and at least 50% of engagement team is responsible for audit for the audit and should be rotated every 5 years. All annual financial statements must be certified by CEO and CFO. All directors on audit committee should be independent. The minimum board size of all listed companies should be 7, out of which at least 4 should be independent directors. As the Narayan Murthy Committee, it was constituted by SEBI in 2003. Audit Committee of publicly listed companies should be required to review the following information mandatorily: financial statements and draft audit report, financial information, reports related to compliance with laws and risk management, records of related party transactions. All audit committee members should be financially literate, and at least one member should have accounting or related financial management expertise. There shall be no nominee directors. Procedures should be in place to inform board members about risk assessment and minimization procedures. Management should place a report before the entire board directors every quarter. All compensation paid to non-executive directors may be fixed by the board of directors and should be approved by shareholders in general meeting. Companies raising money through an initial public offering should disclose the audit committee and its uses. applications of funds by major category on quarterly basis. Whistleblowers in a company should be protected from harassment or termination. Performance evaluation of non-executive directors should be by a peer group comprising entirely of board of directors, excluding the director being evaluated. J. Irani Committee. This was set up by MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, in 2004 to offer advice on a new company bill. Next, Uday Kotak Committee. It was again constituted by SEBI on June 2017. Under the chairmanship of Uday Kotak, the recommendations were all related party transactions. A listed entity has to submit within 30 days of applications of its standalone consolidated financial results for the half-year disclosures of RPTs on a consolidated basis. Separation of the office of the chairperson and CEO or MD. Capping maximum number of directorship. No person will be allowed to hold the office of director more than 8 listed entities at the same time. It was suggested that independent directors shall be between 33% to 50% of board members. No person who is a part of promoter group can be appointed as independent director. Enhanced role of committee should be there. Other steps, yeah, that is all. Next is mechanisms of corporate governance. There are internal mechanisms and external mechanisms. First, looking at the internal mechanisms, a balanced ownership concentration. As per Section 163 of the Companies Act, the company may authorize the board of directors to appoint any person as a director nominated by any institution as a nominal director. Voice to small shareholders. As per Section 151 of Companies Act, a listed company have one director elected by such small shareholders. Okay, decent representation of independent directors by the board, internal control procedures and internal auditors, timely, honest, detailed audits and independence of audit committee, balance of power between CEO and chairman, remuneration of executives or directors, redressal of shareholder stakeholder grievance, risk management, implementation of whistleblower policy, mechanism for evaluation of board performance, keep a check on political interference, promoting social equality and social welfare, compliance with regulation. Next are the external mechanism. Acts and regulations made by government and regulators are Clause 49 of the Listing Agreement by SEBI, Companies Act 2013 by MCA, etc. Reporting to industry. Many sectors have industry bodies such as NASCOM for IT sector, which ensures that industry is headed in right direction. Pressure from apex financial institutions like World Bank or IMF. Competition from other firms form the companies to innovate and follow best practices. External audits are important mechanisms to check for any fraud in the company. A proxy firm provides services to shareholders to vote their shares at shareholder meetings of usually quoted companies. Annual financial statements also have to ensure corporate governance is implemented. A covenant is a promise in an indenture or any other formal agreement that certain activities will or will not be carried out. Any wrongdoing is highlighted in media and prevent people from indulging in wrong practices. Investor education by especially important for activism investors. Well developed financial markets act as a place companies with bad corporate governance can be overtaken by better companies. Next, the corporate governance, the structure and processes of a corporate governance. Okay, so first are the role of board of directors, and protection given to shareholders, management, financial markets or capital markets, role of society and government. Factors affecting corporate governance is first the ownership structure. If ownership is concentrated in few hands, then dominant shareholders will be able to take decisions at their will. Financial structure, if company is more equity than debt, then all decisions would have to be taken by consulting shareholders, which is good. Policies and law of the company, if legal frame environment is in which the company is operating has a vast amount of influence on the corporate governance. Competency of board of directors, independent directors on board and directors remuneration, addressing grievances of shareholders, transparency and whistleblower policy, political interference, media and society pressure, extent of competition in the market, strength and training of enforcement agencies. These are kind of same factors affecting corporate governance. Next is challenges to corporate governance in India. Power of dominant shareholders or family ownership. lack of incentives to companies to implement corporate governance, shortage of independent directors who understand the business of the company. Sometimes authority of SEBI and MCA are not well defined and multiple regulators are there. Debate between ethical governance or effective governance is there. Inadequate monitoring and response failure by regulatory authorities, lack of succession planning and capital allocation mechanism, lack of diversity and accountability and risk management. Now, emerging trends in corporate governance. Now, open questions or issues in corporate governance. Okay, so issues in corporate governance. The proportions of independent directors. There are different views on number of independent directors. Who shall be given more priority? Like whether shareholders should be given more priority or it shall be given more to workers, managers, suppliers, or customers. What shall be the representation of member? Some say women should be given large representation, whereas regulators in India have mandated just one woman director on the board of listed companies. What shall be remuneration of directors? Some will favor high remuneration and some low. What shall be the degree of government control? Opinion differs on this issue, and many are in favor of minimal control. Should there be a few big shareholders or large number of small shareholders scattered over the whole country? So, okay. Proportion of independent directors. Who shall be given more priority? Shareholders or workers? Proportion of representation of women? Remuneration of directors? Degree of government control? And a few big shareholders or large number of small shareholders? These are the issues. Now, what is corporate social responsibility? CSR. Being a good corporate citizen means that companies have to be internally well governed through corporate governance and externally responsible through CSR. Okay, corporate governance is an internal matter while CSR is an external matter. Responsibility. CSR is a process with the aim to embrace responsibility for companies' action and encourage a positive impact through its activities on the environment, consumers, employees, communities, and all other members of the public sphere who may also be considered as stakeholders. Okay. So, government mandate for CSR. Companies with a net profit of rupees 5 crore or net, I think, valuation of more than rupees 50 crore should spend at least 2% of their average profit in last 3 years or on social development related activities such as sanitation, education, healthcare, etc., which are listed on Schedule 7 on of the rules. Now, need for CSR is it encourages a favorable public image, it encourages social involvement of employee, it acts as a coalition of societal and organizational goal. It gives greater freedom and flexibility in decision making. It encourages cooperative attitude and healthy competition. And the issues with CSR are companies are eyeing profit and displaying greed. Lack of most corporate either do not hire specialists for CSR or don't have that capacity. NGOs or local NGO agencies do not disclose the information about their programs, address concerns, assess impacts, and utilize funds. There are a few transparency issues. Okay, yeah. Now, most CSR funds are spent in handful of activities like education and health. Five states, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Tamil Nadu, account for well over one quarter of all CSR funding. So, geographic equity is there, and contradictory nature of CSR law is there. Like it is fundamentally an inspirational exercise, and it is exceedingly difficult to legislate aspirations. Okay.